Anything that involves Nintendo making more money and treating their fans and customers like crap, that's probably the direction they're heading.
And pull it off, obviously.
Nintendo hates you and me.
Angel Knot.
Salutations to the nations. What's good, Angel Knots? It's your boy Young Sinai. So today we're going to be reacting to a video, Nintendo's Obsession with Exclusivity by Nintendine. All right, let's go ahead and check it out.
Okay, this is just silly. So, Nintendo is really into exclusivity. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not a Nintendo thing, right? Many companies are all about having their own brand and making people buy their stuff.
No, but especially Nintendo when it comes to gaming, especially.
That's the whole point of business. But sometimes I feel like Nintendo is playing the wrong game, or trying to make their own rules for a game that nobody really wants to play with them. And I'm calling it silly because it's actually kind of funny. I'm not bothered by this, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it's dumb enough where I think it's worth talking about, but not dumb enough to cause a huge amount of uproar or anything. You know, it's Memorial Day, we got a holiday, we got a day off, the sun's shining. I think it's worth talking about something.
It's a little bit past Memorial Day now that we're reacting to this.
That makes me chuckle. So, for those of you unaware, Nintendo released an app a few months ago called the Nintendo Today app, and that's kind of where they're giving all of their daily updates, I guess.
Do we really need that? Are you locked into Nintendo like that? Let me know. It might just be me that could care less about this.
It's a fun way for them to kind of...
Let me know, which was you more excited about, this app or the Nintendo Music app? I wasn't excited about either because if I really wanted to listen to Donkey Kong Water Level, I'll just go on YouTube.
Connect with the community and just give them little bits and pieces of information, make some big announcements of upcoming directs, I guess. They also let off with a massive announcement of the Legend of Zelda movie being on there pretty quickly after downloading the app, so people knew.
Wait, hold up. Wait, hold up. Maybe I need to download this app. I didn't know this was happening. I know they've been talking about it for years and years and years, but it's official. Okay, I might need to download this. I mean, maybe even just as a content creator, I need to have this. I don't know. If I need to have this app, let me know. Am I missing anything?
That they were going to take the app seriously. The whole concept kind of reminded me of the Smash Dojo stuff back in the day, where they would release little bits of information and updates leading up to Super Smash Bros. Brawl. You know, because they don't really have much information to share, but they want to give the people something, and, you know, fans will eat that stuff right up. Now, at the time when they had announced this app, a lot of people were making jokes that Nintendo would eventually start putting their Nintendo Directs exclusively on this app, and they would lock it behind a Nintendo Switch Online membership too, which would effectively hide the Nintendo Directs behind a paywall. And you know, it might sound crazy, but I actually think that's where they're moving towards.
That's a very Nintendo thing to do.
Just, they're only going to do that if they can.
Anything that involves Nintendo making more money and treating their fans and customers like crap, that's probably the direction they're heading.
And pull it off, obviously.
Nintendo hates you and me.
And realistically speaking, they won't be able to pull that off. But we'll get to that in a second. So basically, the app had a recent update. They quietly decided to add DRM, I guess, that prevents the capture or screen recording of the content on there, making it impossible to archive promotional material for the Nintendo Switch 2 in the future. Now, I say impossible, but it's not actually impossible. You just can't do it the simple way of screen recording, and you can't even screenshot. So when I heard about this, I remembered that I actually had the app downloaded. I think it got released right before the Switch 2 Direct. I can't remember why. Like, I don't even think I have the Nintendo Switch Online app even before all the Switch 2 stuff came out. I don't usually download excessive apps on my phone. But I remembered that this one was downloaded, so I figured I would take a look at it. So I opened it up and I started screen recording and it worked. I took a screenshot and it worked. So then I was like, oh, maybe they only updated.
The Nintendo ninjas are going to be coming for his throat.
the iPhone or something because I'm using Android. But then sure enough, I checked if there was an update available for the app, and there was. So I downloaded that update, jumped back onto the app, and I could no longer screen record the Mario Kart World footage. As a matter of fact, I could not even screenshot it. And it just kind of made me chuckle, primarily because this doesn't make that much sense to me. So
It's like they released the app and then they're like, oh yeah, people have Android too.
So most companies, they want their information to spread. They want people to share their information. And
Not Nintendo, man. Just look at how they used to treat YouTube content creators who cover Nintendo footage. You would think that a company would want all of that free promotion. No, not Nintendo.
and send it to this guy and have them send it to another person. And that guy sends it to his friend and she sends it to so-and-so. That's marketing, right? It's all about getting your information, your trailers, all the fun stuff out there for as many people in the world to see. But Nintendo has this obsession with getting people to buy in both literally and figuratively to their stuff so that they could control the media narrative. I don't know exactly what the deal.
Nintendo is the Apple of the video game world. I've said that before and I'll say it again. Nintendo is the Apple of the video game world. The same as how Apple releases some pretty cool stuff. I hate iPhone, by the way. I have iPhones laying around, 15 Pro Max and stuff, because I am a reseller for phones for a living. So I come across these things for freaking dirt cheap. But I hate iPhone. I am absolutely an Android user at heart. However, I always say this. Apple knows how to do everything but make a phone, right? All my computers, or the majority of my computers, are Apple devices. I have an iPad. I love to be able to drop stuff, with the AirDrop. It's like nothing like it, but why I say Nintendo is like Apple is because Nintendo has a loyal fan base like Apple, right? People who will go to bat for their products and go to war, and they try to lock stuff within a walled garden ecosystem, right? The same as they're locking their characters in a walled garden. You will never, Jesus Christ will come back to Earth before you see Super Mario on a PlayStation. It will, unless the economy really changes, I can never see it being a situation like how we now see Sonic on Nintendo. And when we were kids, we never thought that would happen. I don't think we will ever see Mario on a PlayStation. No.
Is. I mean, I get it to an extent. They want people to download their app so that they can get all of the royalties that come out either from ad revenue.
They want to control the narrative as well.
Or whatever it may be. I think in their minds, they want to cut out YouTube, or at least cut out YouTube to an extent. Basically, the big broad announcements will go out to the world to see on YouTube, and then all of the more in-depth and detailed things will be on the app. And I don't know, maybe their long-term plan is if they can get away with it, they would charge people to be able to use the app, whether it's locked behind the online subscription or whatever it may be. They clearly think they're big enough to do this. Why would they allow YouTube to host their videos when they can host it themselves? Google shouldn't get the royalties, they should. Maybe they don't want to post things on X or on Blue Sky. They're clearly pushing it the best they can to make it so that if you want to know what's going on with Nintendo, you gotta have the Nintendo app. And it's pretty clear that they're not going to go fully into this. They know that they can't completely pull away from all of the other outlets that exist out there, because that's realistically how you're going to get all of that reach. But they need that exclusivity. They want this app to be enticing so that if somebody wants to see the new Mario Kart footage, the new trailer for a game, or whatever the case may be, they're going to be intrigued to jump in onto the app and download it. Because if you want to know what's going on with Nintendo, you need to have Nintendo's app. So while they're clearly not big enough to be like, hey, we're not going to put our Nintendo Directs on YouTube anymore, they're only going to be on our app, or at least for now, that's what I think. I'm pretty sure that if they knew they could get away with it, that's what they would do. There's clearly some thought in their mind where they feel that they are big enough to force fans of Nintendo to download this app and get the information and the trailers and whatever else may be from the app exclusively. And I don't know, it's just so dumb and funny, but at the same time, why? Like, imagine you're at the park and then somebody is just playing and then all of a sudden they get mad and they're like, hey, you know what? I'm mad. I'm gonna take my lawn chair home and leave. And you're looking at them like, why are you?
I said it before and I'll say it again. I will not be getting a Nintendo Switch 2 camera. Whenever I do decide to buy a Switch 2 secondhand, I will not be buying a Switch 2 camera. Why on earth would I want Bowser staring at me?
Why are you grabbing your lawn chair? Nobody was... Okay, whatever. Just leave. That analogy makes no sense, right? Yeah, that's what Nintendo is doing. They're not making any sense. Like, they're like, if you want to see gameplay footage that we uploaded that was 15 seconds long, you've got to download our app to see it. And the reality is that most people that want to see that gameplay footage already have your app. Who are you hiding?
You know who they have? You know how they haven't solved this? Look. Let me show you something. All right. You ain't gotta screen record. You feel me? Cause you can just watch this. Boom! You can just record it like this onto there. You feel me?
If you know, you know.
This from? This actually, funnily enough, reminded me of Smash Bros. Brawl. And this is where the whole exclusivity thing comes into play. So, seeing as how we're almost 20 years removed from Smash Bros. Brawl, this might actually be new information to some of my younger listeners. But basically, the Subspace Emissary in Super Smash Bros. Brawl was a single-player mode. Actually, I say single-player, but you could play it co-op. What was really cool about it was that there was an actual story and these amazing cutscenes between these characters that you had grown up with, and they were interacting and saving the world together. These were fairly early YouTube years. Naturally, people took all of the cutscenes, uploaded it online, and everybody loved them. Even if you had played the game, you would go on YouTube and you might watch them again. There was just nothing like it before, from a Smash Brothers perspective, from a Nintendo perspective, from any kind of crossover collaboration. It was very cool.
Diddy Kong came out with that blinky. Hold on, we gotta run that back.
From a Nintendo perspective, from any kind of crossover collaboration. It was very cool. After that, Nintendo had gotten very annoyed. Actually, I say Nintendo, it was Sakurai. He basically said he didn't want people putting the cutscenes on YouTube because they're meant to be a reward. Yeah, my dude thinks that cutscenes are a reward. So instead, he put the time and effort and the animations into the newcomer trailers so he could control the spread of them. Now, there were some cutscenes that would leak and they would end up online before the game actually came out. And also, Smash Brothers is more a multiplayer game than anything else, so who cares what's being shared from the single player angle? In my mind, back in the day, I thought to myself, you know, this is probably a cop-out. They don't want to make a intense single-player mode like they did with the Subspace Emissary. They don't need to. People are going to play Smash Brothers, and they're going to do the online multiplayer or in-person multiplayer like Smash Brothers was meant to be. Why waste so much time and resources on a single-player mode that people are only going to play once for 5 or 6 hours and then spend the next 350 hours playing multiplayer? It's the same logic of why we never got a true...
Yo, I want to say something. So... Sakurai, is that how his name is pronounced? I'm sorry, I always mispronounce it. I feel like him saying, no, those are supposed to be surprises for people, is in a way showing how much he loves the game, right? But at the same time, it's not just about what you want, right? And I say that because that's kind of how I am. Like, I'll want to surprise my wife or surprise my daughter. And my wife let me know, like, not everything has to be a surprise. Not everything has to be a surprise. And if everything is a surprise, then nothing's a surprise. So I feel like him wanting to make this stuff was a surprise was showing that he deeply cares about it. But at the same time, dog, don't nobody care about if it's a surprise or not. People just want to see the cutscene.
single player mode in the Mario Kart series, except for like that little mission mode in DS. But looking at it now, I think they were actually serious about the cutscenes being a reward.
I hit my knee. It hurt. My knee. Get up. I had to flame myself.
See, Nintendo has time and time again proved that this is the way that they think. In their minds, people that are watching these trailers on YouTube are not buying Brawl. So they don't want to reward people that don't buy the game, don't give them money. They think that Smash Brothers is such a massive title, and it is, don't get me wrong, but they think that it's so massive that if you want to see the cutscenes in this game, you have to buy in. And that's the reward. You play the game, you get the cutscenes. If you don't buy the game, you don't deserve the cutscenes that were in the single player mode of Super Smash Bros. Brawl. And this isn't without precedence. This is the way that Nintendo thinks. You guys know my channel always comes back to emulation. Why do you think they're getting rid of all of the ROMs? Why do you think they're cracking down on so many fan projects? Like, you could say it's to protect their IP, but what does protecting their IP actually mean? Nintendo thinks about this the same way all of these corporations think about this. They want you on their product for as long as possible. If you're playing anything else, including stuff that is not on their current generation console, that's a bad thing as far as they're concerned.
Okay, here's my question though. Because they don't want people playing the old games because now you're not playing the new games. But I don't think what they realize about a lot of their customers and our buying style is a lot of us just keep on buying games. So if you gave us the old game, we would buy it. If you give us the new game, we'll buy it. As long as the money is in your pocket, like, what difference does it make? Especially with Nintendo, who doesn't really do like the whole pay to win, loot crates and different things like that. Like, what difference does it make? I'll never understand Nintendo. I hate Nintendo. I love their games, but I hate this company.
So if you are
I do want to go to Nintendo World.
emulating a game that they no longer sell from, I don't know, 20 years ago, that's a loss for them because you're not playing the games that they have available on their Nintendo Switch Online.
But the thing is that you will, or even if you don't play it, gamers just be buying games that they never gonna play. So as long as they bought your game, what difference does it make?
Or Classics line, whatever it's called now. If you're playing a fan-made project, you're not playing the games that they have on their console. They want you to buy in and play stuff on their Switch to the best of their ability. And they will frequently go out of their way to make sure that nobody is playing an alternative. That's why they attack Pal World, because they know that Pokemon fans might get their heads turned. That's why they went after the rental companies back in the day, because they want you to buy their games and put it on your console. That's why they want digital. They don't want people to buy new stuff. They want every time you enjoy a game, you got to give money to Nintendo. It's the same.
You know who Nintendo is like? Nintendo is that meme of, hold on. Oh, it's so funny. Check this out. I didn't even make this. Hold up. This Nintendo right here. Me. Nintendo Power World. This is legit Nintendo.
Concept with YouTube. The YouTube algorithm wants to see if your video keeps people on YouTube longer. I've noticed this with a lot of my longer form videos when my channel was much smaller. I'd have a video that was over an hour and a half long. Now, realistically speaking, not many people would click on that because they would look, they'd see somebody with, I don't know, 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers for an hour and a half video, and they'd be like, this guy's on crack. I'm not gonna watch this. But then, let's say 3%, 2% of people that pass by that thumbnail decide to click it and they end up watching the entire video. All you need.
If I shoot an hour and a half video, are y'all gonna rock with me like that? Let me know. Let me know. I ain't saying I'm gonna do it, but I'm just very curious. Some of y'all rock with me for the live streams, and those are pretty long.
Is those 2 or 3% of people to watch the video and watch it for an extended period of time, and then start binge watching all of the other videos that you've made because they clearly are interested in what you're saying. And as far as the algorithm is concerned, they're like, well, this guy's content is clearly forcing people to watch YouTube a lot longer. They're not watching Netflix, they're not scrolling Instagram. So they push that video out significantly more. But a short 15 to 20 minute video, if you don't captivate a much larger percentage of people and keep them on the app for a longer period of time, that video becomes a dud pretty quickly if you have a low click-through rate. It's the same reason why when my channel started to blow up last month, they kept pushing my videos.
All right, I'm going to end it there. I think that he made a lot of really good points. I think that Nintendo, it says Nintendo's obsession with exclusivity. I think that Nintendo is an obsessive girlfriend who doesn't want you to have any female friends. That's what I think that Nintendo is. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all. Make sure that you like and subscribe. And I want to make clear what I just said. You know, it's different. You know what I mean? If you married to Nintendo, you know, since we're going this analogy, then I have no female friends. Look, y'all get what I'm trying to say. All right. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for rocking with me, everybody who has subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, I'm on my journey to 1,000 subs, yo. So please join the journey. And also, if you look in the posts when you subscribe, you can see how to win a Trim UI brick. All right, yo. I appreciate you. God bless and salutations to the nations. Peace.
Angel 9.